Now, Mike Barnicle. You know, Mike, as we watch the clips of All Is Lost and think of all the extraordinary Robert Redford movies, they weren't all fireworks, obviously. There were some of the most simple movies, I think, were his most powerful. And the one that has stayed with me since I saw it and we talked to him about it was All Is Lost, a movie that doesn't say a word, and yet it's incredible acting. And I got the sense when I saw it that it was a man who was actually fighting with the realization that he was going to do everything he could to stay young and stay healthy and stay alive. But at the end of the day, that sailboat just sails off into the sunset. But beautiful man, beautiful film, beautiful life. Talk about the Robert Redford that you knew so well.
Well, Joe, I got to tell you, he was an independent character, but not only in his movies, but in the Hollywood that existed then, as well as the Hollywood that exists today. He was independent of power structures. He had his own set of deep beliefs in what kind of films he wanted to make, what kind of films he wanted to participate in, and he had a moral code to what he wanted to do that he adhered to for his entire life. He was obviously a huge movie star. There's a school of thought that says that after World War II, it only happened to like 3 or 4 people: Marlon Brando, Paul Newman, and Robert Redford became explosive stars for decades on end. And Newman's relationship with Redford was of legendary status. The two were best friends. I think when Paul Newman passed away, that really hurt Redford a lot. He didn't have a lot of close friends in the movie industry by choice, I think. His choices in life were to tend to projects that he believed in deeply. A lot of it had to do with the environment. A lot of it had to do with making singular movies and backing singular movies, small movies they would call them in the industry. He gave a lot of young actors and producers and directors their starts in movies through his creation of the Sundance Institute in Utah, and to the very end, he was true to his code of what he liked to see, what he liked to make, and how he liked to live.
Of course, it all started. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid was the breakout role. We were seeing some footage there of All the President's Men. And in 1972, a young matinee idol co-starred with Robert Redford in a film called The Candidate. Let's watch.
Bill McKay? Marvin Lucas. I thought a beard was taboo in politics.
It is.
Bill, excuse me, just yeah.
He
I
won't
just got
budge.
thrown out of Superior Court. Ask him if he knows what a license renewal hearing is.
I'll try. Hey, can we do that?
What happened?
They threw me out. He wouldn't even let me start. Told me it was a matter for the federal courts
I
now.
understand. Now, look, here's what you've got to do. You've got to go back with a petition.
Oh, Christ.
You've got to
We've
tell
had
them.
3 months
I
worth of
understand that,
briefs.
Pete, but the watershed thing is too important. You've got to get back there. We don't have any other choice.
No, I'll wait for McKay.
All right. Those courts aren't going to move.
Mike Barnicle
You're the
in The
cutest
Candidate.
thing. Oh my God!
I had real hair then.
I can't believe it. Look at the hair. Wait, do you look like Timmy or you look like all of them?
Yeah, I was in a couple of other movies with The Way We Were. He put me in that. The Great Gatsby. He put me in that. I was scheduled to have a part in The Natural, but I had to do my day job for the Boston Globe back then and was unable to get to Buffalo where they filmed it to make my at-bat.
You're good.
You blow Redford off the screen there, Mike.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I got to tell you something about Redford. He could play.
He
Good.
could
He had a
play.
beautiful left-handed swing, left-handed swing, and he wore number 9 in that movie in a tribute to Ted Williams, number 9. An all-time great human being, a really great friend and a decent human being.
You know, Barnicle, watching you in your acting career when you were younger, I'm reminded of another baseball film where the famous line at the end, "You were good, kid. You were good," rings out, of course. But Redford, talk about again his independence, but also his ability to never get sucked in. He and Newman were two of the last Hollywood stars. But he didn't play the game. Talk about how he refused to take the simple choices, to make the simple choices. I was just talking to Cillian Murphy, who has what Hollywood would call a small independent type film coming out after Oppenheimer. And he could have been in, the Avengers or been in something else and made $300 million. But like Redford, he's an artist. Talk about how Redford was an artist first and didn't even consider himself a Hollywood star.
Well, his big thing was it's the story. It's always the story and what's behind the story. For instance, Ordinary People is the story of a tragic loss of a son and what the effect it has on families, disrupting families. And those are the kinds of films that he wanted to make, and he did make. Stories that affect human beings across the world, stories that you can tell, stories that people who go to the movies will understand what the story is all about. Not remakes, not action movies, not stories about monsters and science fiction films, not stuff like that. Stories about people, ordinary people, in most of his films. And of course, the big films, Out of Africa, things like that, was a little different, but it was always the story that enticed him, always. And that's what enticed him in terms of building Sundance as an institute and as a place for young people making films to display their films.
There's a great moment in the obit this morning in the New York Times at Sundance. I think it's 2012. Redford's walking down the street at this incredible festival that he created. New York Times asks him about it, and he's kind of grousing that all these vodka brands and Publicis and Paris Hilton, we got to get back to what it used to be, talking about his own film festival. But that's who he was.
Yeah, that is who he was. He was part of him, I think, never received the accolades. He received a lot of accolades, certainly, but not enough because of and he always believed this because of the way he looked. He was almost like too handsome.
Some of us have that problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do, Jonathan. Yeah, I know. A lot of people have told you that.
Lemire always grouses about that he's not respected because Lemire's such a matinee idol.
I know.
But I mean, the critics would look at his films and, they'd always comment about, how he looked and he's so handsome and, women fell all over him and everything like that. But it was the art of making the film that attracted him to the film, to the story. And that's what dominated his thoughts about making movies.
Well, Mike, thank you for the beautiful insights to Robert Redford. And as